Hello everyone, welcome to the Boss Bitches podcast. We are back with another episode. I'm Debbie-Lyn and I'm the CEO of DL Models Limited. We work with aspiring talent to grow their resilience, their confidence and their skills so they can become a diverse icon in the industry. Today's guest is Megan Stachini and she is the CEO of Intrinsic. I'm so excited to speak to Megan. I've read her story. It's extremely inspirational. She is one badass woman. So welcome to the podcast, Megan.
Thanks so for having me.
Us. Hi.
Hi.
I'm so excited to get to know you better. You are an amazing woman who's been through so much, like I have, like many people have. But instead of crumbling, you've literally used it as a superpower to do what you do today. So yes. Let's go back to when you first started your very first company.
Yeah.
So you started with £80 in your pocket. I've heard this again and again as well, like people who have started from basically nothing and built what they have today. I find that so inspiring. So you started off with £80. What gave you the courage to leap and start that business?
First of all, thank you so much for having me. It's amazing to be here. There's always been something in me that's believed that I was always meant to do something more. I was a single mum at the time, and I was working a full-time job. And I was just like, oh, fuck this. Like, I can't carry on like this. I couldn't go out. I couldn't take my daughter anywhere because I never had no money. The dad never supported me financially. And I was trying to kind of juggle so much. And the opportunity came up and I was like, I'm just going to do it. There was nothing that really, there was obviously the fear that it could all go wrong. But then there was this kind of inner intuition that said, actually, what if it all went right? So I done it. Started up, was working full time. So I used to get up before my little girl went to school, woke up herself and took her to school and things and work. Then I'd be mum when she come home. And then when she was in bed, I worked on the business. And then I got it to a point where I was like, this is definitely going to take off. And then I jumped and that was it. Earned multiple six figures in the first year. It was just, it just completely took off.
That is incredible. And had you had experience of business before? Had you studied business?
Never. Literally never. I have always been very logical. So it was, everything kind of made sense. And if it didn't, doing it made it make sense. And I kind of am able to really pull out and look at the big picture. And I have been called weird before because of it. But yeah, never had any, I mean, in the last years of school, I was a bit, one of those who used to bunk a bit at school. But I did well in my GCSEs, but I went to do A-levels, but I didn't in the end. And I ended up getting a full-time job. Yes, I've never had any experience of it. Run fitness classes and things, but nothing on a major level.
That is incredible because I used to faff around and say I was a business owner when I was a makeup artist, but really I just loved buying makeup and doing makeup, and then I'd get paid and then that would pay for me to buy more makeup.
Yes.
Just about covering travel expenses sometimes not. But I had no idea about actually running a business until I started TL Models. Boy, that was this is my first proper business, and I realised how much there is involved, and I've had to learn so much. So the fact that sort of came naturally to you, is wow.
Yeah, I don't know why. I always, even from when I was really young, it was I mean, I've never really been able to work for anyone, if I'm honest, because I'm too opinionated and I'm very much, if it doesn't sit right with me, I can't be under that. So I've always been like that, and I always knew from a very young age that I was going to own my own business. always. I don't know why. It was just in me. Yeah, I'm going to run my own business. It's going to be successful and I'm going to earn money. But yeah, I picked things up really quickly, able to really make decisions really quickly. I've never been someone who kind of takes a while. It's like a decision's going to be made, very assertive. And yeah, that's just, I think, a natural thing that I've always had, which I've always had to pull back on around loads of other people. So then when I started my own business, I was like, this is it. This is where I'm meant to be. So yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, so you've always had that sort of like fearlessness. I've always had that as well, you know, and I think it serves me really well now that I am running the business. But an awful lot of things I've had to learn, like, you know, marketing and even like asking people to pay me the money they owe me and stuff, you know, and a lot of that's to do with mindset, right? And it sounds like you've always had that perfect mindset for business, and you've always had that inner belief in yourself, and backed yourself, and you know that's half the battle that people often have. So for you to have always had that sounds like something that's sort of carried you through the more difficult times as well.
Yeah, it did. And I think like when I got to the point with my first business, and we can talk about that, I completely burnt out. And I think what I've always had that kind of pushing mindset, but what did kind of disconnect from me was because I'd gone through a lot, young childhood, early teens and things like that. It was something that I was like, well, what's the worst that could happen? Like, what is that? Like, I kind of took myself out of the equation a lot of the time because I was a young single mum. I was able to be like, well, this isn't for me. This is for her. And it is kind of like, well, we'll see. And I've always kind of had that, oh, we'll see. If it doesn't work, that it's not gonna, you know, kill me. So yeah.
Yeah. So do you think being a mum and being a single mum, do you think that sort of shaped how, obviously you had to do it in the evenings, didn't you, and work around that? Do you think that's sort of shaped your mindset and helped you be successful when it comes to business?
Yeah, being a mum, definitely. Because I never really had that from my family, like wanting to completely make sure everything was okay. And even like little things, like ridiculous things with having a fear, right? I used to have fear of spiders. And because of my little girl, she was seeing that. And I was very aware that she was seeing that. So the first thing I done was when she see a spider was I picked it up. And then it kind of, and I used to be an actress back in the day. And even those sort of things, it's like the only limit is yourself. Yeah. So just to do it, see how it goes, and then deal with the consequences. And I've never really had fear of that, but definitely being a mum made me think, well, this isn't just about me anymore. This is about this little girl. But although it started me in the right way, it wasn't the thing that kept me sustainably successful. And I did have a breakdown after I was in the business for a few years, because I'd completely lost myself in it. So although it was the driving force behind the success initially, it wasn't the thing that kept me sustainably successful to then move on, because now I've got 3 businesses, to be able to do that and do the things I love as well. That was one driving force, but it does get to a point where it's like that can't be the only thing that drives you.
Yeah. And you know, you talk about that you'd have trauma in your life before, and then even like when you were successful in your first business, was it your uncle that stole a lot of money from you?
Yeah, so we got to a point where we could grow a lot bigger, and I'd just given birth to my second child. So I'd met my now partner, just given birth to my second child, and he he's got a bad background. He is a drug addict, and just not very responsible because of the pressures of my family. He's a builder, so they were like, you know, you've got to have him. This, you know, you can't give it to someone else. Blah blah blah. And he did. He stole around, I think, 15,000. He started it, didn't finish it. He didn't spend the money on the supplies when he should have, and we were kind of left with this building that was half done, and we'd spent thousands and thousands of pounds on it. So that was one of a sticking point for me, where I realized that a lot of what I was doing wasn't for me, and a lot of the decisions I was making weren't from because I wanted them done. And that kind of started the downward spiral of, oh my God, my reality actually isn't what I thought. And the reason I'm doing this isn't for the right reasons. A lot of it was external conditioning, external factors and things. And the driving force for me was the complete wrong driving force. But yeah, it got to a point where I was like, can't do this anymore.
Yeah. And you have touched on a little bit about your breakdown. Are you happy to expand on that?
Absolutely. So it was my 30th birthday, and my little girl was 9 months by this point, and my eldest and my partner, and it was my 30th, and we was going to go and climb a mountain. So I love mountain climbing. Yeah, as you do on your birthday. Like to wear myself out. My partner, bless him, it turns out after we'd come down from the mountain, he packed a cake to eat and Prosecco at the top of the mountain. We didn't get to that point. But yeah, so bless him, it's so sweet. So we were climbing up this mountain, halfway up, and this prompted the work that I do today. It was as if my body finally caught up with my mind, and I broke down, and I realized with absolute clarity that I had absolutely no idea who I was anymore. And that's why I think what then happened after that was I suffered miscarriages. I had really, like, my mental health was in a terrible state. I felt anxious all of the time. I used to have panic attacks in the shower, and then go into like meetings and pretend everything was okay. I remember, because it was COVID, I went to the hospital to have a miscarriage, and I was standing outside, like queuing up. And then the next day went into a meeting because I thought I need to go into that meeting because otherwise everyone's going to think badly of me. And then I was like, all of that kind of hit me all at once. And I was like, I've done this for the wrong reasons. And then I went on this massive journey of self-discovery, healing, learning, training. And it took, like, is what's led me to Intrinsic now, is that as business owners, what we do is we focus a lot on the mindset, but then what that does is it disconnects us from our body, which stores all of that trauma, which stores all of the kind of conditioning, all of the triggers. And what I done was I focused solely on mindset, and I'd suppressed all of those feelings, all of those signals my body was giving me that something wasn't right, all of that intuition. And then we become numb to it. So then our mind's just working and our body's just like, well, you're not going to fucking listen to me, so I might as well just shut down now. But then it forces us to stop. And that's what my body done on that mountain. It forced me. It was like, I've caught up with your mind now because all you've been doing is up here. You've ignored me. So I'm now going to force this on you. And that's what happens. And that's what I do now with business owners, because I don't want people to go through that. Is to scale and create a business first safely, because so many business owners suffer with mental health. It's like a standard, really. I don't think I've come across many that don't, because it's so much about the mindset, when actually what it should be is connecting ourselves fully to then scale in the right way. Because I didn't.
Neither
broke
did I.
down. Yeah.
I mean, I'm still in my infancy in the business. Actually, we're 2 this month. So
Congrats.
early days. Certainly haven't got to multi 6 figures like you did in your first year, but considering I've no background in business and stuff, I've been really proud of the progress. But yeah, I found it really lonely a lot of the time. Also, well, the reason I started my business, funny enough, is because I was diagnosed with FND, which is exactly what you're describing, where you've had so many traumas and things, and you've focused on sort of the mindset getting better. So I actually had a breakdown in 2019, and then I went on a journey of self-discovery and like trying to do things for myself more and look after myself and follow my passion, which is when I started modeling, and I loved it, and my confidence was great, and I thought I was healed and I was fine, but actually, like you say, I was focused on that mindset, and then all of a sudden my body just broke, literally overnight. Like my legs just collapsed. My legs just went completely numb. I was paralyzed from the waist down. I was like, what the fuck is going on? Goes obviously blue lighted to hospital. They do all the tests. Like, everything's normal. And I'm like, well, clearly not, because I'm literally paralyzed. And they were like, well, we're going to get the neurologist to come and speak to you. And then they said, you've got FND, which I'd never heard of. But that's exactly what it is. And now permanently my brain has changed, and the signals are all haywire between my brain and my body. And it's like literally a disconnect there. It's crazy. But funny enough, I've been like watching TikToks and YouTube videos and stuff all about, is it somatic?
Yeah, that's what I do. Yeah, that's what I do. I'll follow me on TikTok, will you, and Instagram.
So I'm so fascinated by this for personal reasons too.
Yeah, I believe now, and what I want to do is take it, because a lot of time people do it outside of work and outside of business, and they do those kind of bits, but what I want to do is bring it into business, because, and I truly do believe that this is going to be a big change, and this is what I'm pushing for, to make the change in corporate spaces for business owners. Why do we wait as business owners until our body fails us before we start healing it? Like, I want to get into everyone's mind. Why not do it at the same time as you're growing the business, working on yourself, not waiting to that point? And it usually is a couple of years down the line, typically 4 to 7 years, where business owners are like, oh my God, I can't keep doing this anymore. It's not sustainable. And then they pull back. Whereas we could do it at the same time, so that we save time. We save, being present for our kids, because I was horrendous to live with. I don't know how my partner put up with me. I was snappy, irritated. I wasn't present for my kids. And then I'm saying, well, the reason I'm doing it is for I started this business for the kid, and that's just because it's not it. What, although I thought it was on a surface level, really what I was doing it for was to prove people that I could.
Yes.
Prove to people that I could create this business and I didn't need them. I didn't, I can prove that, abusive partner that I was with, that I could make something. But I didn't realize that, because I'd completely just thought up here. And that's what I want to change. I genuinely want people to create businesses where they know who they are and they're unapologetic about it, where they can attract the right people and create spaces. Because my little girl, so during all of this shit that was going on, my littlest one, she's got learning disabilities, was diagnosed with autism, ADHD, and speech delay and things. And it was like all of that happened, and I was like, I want to create spaces for my little girls to go into and feel completely safe, because they don't feel like they've got to second guess themselves. And all of this comes from the top. Whatever the environment empowerment of every business comes from the top. And if you know who you are, you know what you want, and you've dealt with all of that kind of inner stuff, you won't create spaces where people go home crying because they can't work there anymore. You won't go home crying yourself because you've lost your relationship with your partner. You're never spending time with your kids. You'll feel guilty all of the time, because that's just creating this world where we're just all disconnecting. We're all kind of doing this silly little dance, wondering whether what we've just said in that space is gonna, like, oh, did I offend someone? Oh my god, I don't know whether I said to people gonna think I'm weird. Oh my god, I can't go in social situations. Like, it ripples so much. And I'm here to hopefully make a dent in that, and change it.
And do you think that sort of disconnect comes with, because people say, like, oh, be yourself and you've got to live authentically, and then sometimes you don't know who you are. So is it actually reconnecting you to your authentic self? Or just explain a little bit about what the work involves.
It's knowing yourself at the deepest level. And I'm not talking your values, I'm not talking what you enjoy, things like that. I'm talking about where your breath sits when you sit and when you think about certain things. I'm talking about how your body responds, where that trauma is stored in your body, regulating your nervous system. I'm talking about the deep inner, like, that people very rarely touch or face. It's the dark side, it's the light side, it's the shadow stuff. Like, I do a lot of shadow work because people don't want to see it, because they're scared of what they're going to find. And you're exactly right when you say be authentic, and this is one thing I work on so much with my clients. Be authentic, and people are like, what the fuck is that? And that's why imposter syndrome comes in. Fear of visibility, because if you're scared of being visible, why is that? Because you're putting on a front hoping that you're going to get the response that you think you want. Do you know that though? How do you know that? How is your body going to respond? What do you need in that space? Like, it's so much bigger. And that's why I've stopped saying, like, self-discovery in my title, because people are like, well, I know myself, I know what I like, I know my values, I know what I want. Very rarely do people genuinely know what they want. And because we're so conditioned to believe what we should want, who we should be, even if we're like, be authentic, it's like, well, does that mean I've got to be really down to earth and swear at this point and act in a certain way? Because I felt like I was wearing a mask in every single place I was. So different. Like, I was like in one space when I was, what's that?
Like, I was going to say, were you like a social chameleon, like changing depending on who you were with?
Yep, completely. And I used to go home and I used to be like, oh my god, I'm exhausted. Like, I feel like I've just drained every single ounce of my energy, because you go in and you're like, that person expects me to be this person, therefore I'm going to play up to that. And that's where the acting came in very well. And it was something, because I was scared of, if I didn't act like that, are they going to like me anymore?
Yeah, that's what it comes down to, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's what you liked.
Yeah,
and it's a common thing. And I know I do it as well, and I know it's like a subconscious thing, even down to when I'm speaking to people with a different accent. I will start to, like, take on their accent as I'm speaking to them. I'm like, what the hell? My daughter's like, Mum, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm not aware I'm doing it.
Yeah, but you're trying to connect. And that's all what we're doing. We're trying to connect. But what we're doing then is we're setting ourselves up to fail. Because if we're connecting on a false level, we're not connecting with the right people, because if they're connecting with that fake version, then that's all we're going to be with them. And that's why it's so hard to know yourself, because you're like, I remember getting to that mountain and I was like, if someone asked me what my favorite color was, I'd have absolutely no idea, because I would say things thinking, well, what would they expect me to say? What would they think? And it was draining. And so many of us are in this space where we just don't know really who we are, and we're scared to be alone as well. And as business owners, we're lonely, so we try and distract ourselves. So that's where the phones come in, the scrolling comes in, procrastinating comes in, because we're trying to force down the truths that we don't want to face. Whereas the work that I do, it's like, right, let's face this, but in a really safe and supportive way, because we all have these awful thoughts about ourselves. We all have these things that we're embarrassed to share about ourselves. But if we're not ready to face them ourselves, then it's going to come out somewhere. It's going to escape somewhere. It could be when you are drunk, for example, and it all comes out and you're like, oh my God, I can't speak to that person ever again because I just let that come out and I shouldn't have. I overshared or whatever. It comes out in meetings when you snap at people. You get defensive when certain people say something, or you just cry for no reason, or your mental health suffers because you've been masking for so long. You're just lost. That's why knowing yourself at the deepest level and not doing things like just business coaching, or because even like therapy kind of is for your conscious mind, what you know, what you've seen, whereas you need to go deeper, more subconscious, into the stuff that shows up where we don't notice, and that's where like self-mastery comes in. That's like when you're not triggered by certain things because you're very aware of yourself, you can regulate quickly. That's when you know yourself. That's when you truly know who you are. And that is the only way, I believe, that you can create a truly successful business and not get to the top, not earn loads of money like I did and think, do you know what, I'd rather work a 9 to 5 with no responsibilities and give all of that money up because it just wasn't worth it. That empty feeling when you go home and you think, I've just done all that work and I've worked for years and I've missed my kids' lives because I was putting my work first. I'll take all that back. Yeah. Like, those are the things that the deep work does, because you're just saving time then, because you know, and you can feel it in the body. Does this feel right? You can start trusting yourself. Does this feel right for me? If not, I'm so safe in myself that I can step away. Yeah. And that's the difference. That's what transforms business, I believe.
I believe it does as well. And like we had a little chat earlier, and I was just saying, you know, we as DL models, like that's what we believe strongly. It's what I know to be true. Like from personal experience as well, you do have to get a strong foundation going on before you're ready for success. Yeah. You know, a lot of people think they want to be famous, and then, you know, they end up famous for, you know, not very good reasons often. And then, you know, with that comes a lot of negativity, and even people who like win the lottery unexpectedly, and they're not, you know, they've not got the right money mindset, right? Because they've always been struggling and they've always wished they could win the lottery, but then they lose the money because actually they're not ready for that kind of, you know, for that kind of money, and they just squander it all away. So yeah, getting all that, I mean, mindset, yeah, but like you said, getting actually to the very root cause of stuff, and seeing it and dealing with it, that is so powerful to build on, then to build your success.
Honestly, it's magic. And what you hear from like the successful business owners was, and I say this in a lot of like the content I put out there, a lot of them say, I done the inner work. A lot of them do, because they really realize it's like spiritual intelligence, right? That is so important. And I'm hoping that this is going to be what the spaces that I'm going in, people are opening their minds up to it as well. And it's not this kind of, people say it's woo woo, and it's not. It's knowing yourself and knowing the bigger picture, but being able to connect back to yourself, to be curious about things instead of defensive and living off of these past triggers, traumas, these cycles that we keep ourselves in. And it's knowing that and facing that in your body, not just in your head. And then you're like, wow, what, this literally changed. And it changed my life, and for my clients it absolutely changes theirs, but not on the here's your route to multiple 7 figures. It's like that's a byproduct. The money's a byproduct, because you naturally start attracting what you put out, right? And you start attracting the money. And that's when I changed direction, that's when the money went skyrocketed. And I use it for stuff that I want, not just to have money. It's like I go traveling with my kids. That's what I love. I love spending time with my kids.
Yeah. I don't drink. I don't go out socializing, to be honest, unless it's like a networking thing and it drains me. So I very rarely do that. But yeah, for me, money is to exchange for experiences and memories with my kids.
Yeah. You have to, because you're going to get to the end of your life and think, you don't want to think, what have I done all that for?
Yeah.
Like, that's the last thing. And I'm so grateful that I learned it quite young, because I now am in this place where I'm like, last year we took 6 weeks off traveling to go with the kids, and I'm present. I'm not constantly worrying about work. And when I do work, it doesn't feel like work, because I meet the people I attract. I love them. Yeah, I literally love everything I do. Like I'm like, oh my god, it's great. I don't have to do that. I'm okay, thanks. No, I don't want to go in that space because that doesn't do well for me. I don't feel guilty about it. I say no without explanation. I've said this quite a lot. Like, no is a full sentence, I believe. And then people are like, yeah, but you can say no, thank you. Yes, you can say no, thank you, but ultimately you shouldn't have to explain yourself.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, because you know yourself so well, and if those people in your spaces are resenting you for putting yourself first, you shouldn't be in those spaces. But so many people cling on because they don't know anything else. They're not secure in themselves. They need that feedback. Business can't rely on you being like that. You have to be able to be so secure to create a secure workforce, to create secure work for the clients. Like, it filters out so much.
Yeah, definitely. I forgot what I was going to say then.
I just go I love to go on a tangent.
Just listening. I don't know what I was going to say.
But it's important. I think people tend to put, and when I say this to, like, I've said this on podcasts before, and I've said this in talks before, and people, for the first question a lot of people have asked me is, what if they haven't got time to do that stuff first? And that's like, what? You haven't got time to put yourself first. And that just says everything, like, you need to know. People they want quick fixes. They want it's even like with, and I do a lot of breath work and meditation in some of my sessions, as well as like the proper business stuff. Like, it's such a mixed bag. But even like meditation and things like that, we see these meditations that we should be doing, but actually sometimes they don't. There's so many different forms of meditation that they might not work for you, and you might not be getting the result, and it might just be another chore. Procrastination, people trying to put things in place, and it's like, is that good for you, or is that another chore? And people don't know. And that's where they're like, well, surely I should be getting it because I'll do this, I'll do this, and I'm still not kind of getting it. I'm still not okay. And then they feel worthless about themselves again, because everyone else seems to be fixed by this. Why am I not? And it's, again, a mask, because you're not finding out deeply about who you are. So then, therefore, you don't know what's going to truly work. And that's why that stuff's so important. So putting a plaster on it, putting a quick fix on it, it's never going to be sustainable. And that's why these people are suffering so much with mental health in the workplace. People are scared of AI because they're just like, oh my God, I feel so uncertain, because they're not certain in themselves. And this all starts with the inner work.
Yeah. So powerful. I think it's amazing that you have found your purpose and that you're helping other people, and I love that it doesn't feel like work for you, because I'm the same. I went on, like, now and again I think, I might start dating again, and I've been on a dating site, right, and people are like, oh, what do you do? And I'm like, well, I work with aspiring models and help them build confidence and resilience and help them navigate, like, the fashion industry. What do you do for fun? I work with aspiring models who
hold on.
Yeah.
How lucky, though, that we've got that. Like, how great. Honestly, you can't ask for more. To do what you love every single day, make a difference for other people. Like, when there's nothing more fulfilling than seeing people grow under like
I feel dead maternal towards all the models I work with, honestly. I'm like, oh, so proud.
Yeah,
I genuinely like get excited for them and celebrate all the wins with them. I love it. Yeah,
I think it's such a good thing to be able to do, and it's not, you know, helping people, it transforms their lives, like confidence, like what you do, confidence and things is, I mean, I've been in the modeling world before and I know how cutthroat it can be, and yeah, just that transformation, even just a little bit, that's all worthwhile, isn't it?
Yeah, and you know, people don't really realize this, but being a model and running a business, same thing, because you are representing yourself, like you are self-employed, you are the product, you've got to market yourself. There's so many sort of like crossovers and similarities, and that's why the next event we're doing sort of is going to be combining both.
I love that.
Yeah. So we're going to be looking for people to get involved, to do sort of like be part of the workshops and stuff. And
well, if you need someone to do a workshop, let me know.
I would say that might be really interesting, because again, it's helping people to realize that these are not separate things. You know, these are all interconnected. And your wellness and your mindset and your the work that you do, like the somatic work, is actually all important for modeling.
It is. I've, you know, like I said, I've been in those spaces, and one of the hardest spaces ever, like ridiculous. But it is, and I think it's like you said, it's very similar to business. And when I work with people, they'll be saying one thing, but their body will be saying something completely different, and I'll have to pick up on that. And they're like, oh god, yeah. I'm like, I can see. That's why sometimes I can't even see you on this screen. It's like just your name on it. But yeah, I pick up on, and I have to sometimes look away, because I can pick up on so much, and I have to say to them, are you ready for me to pick up on what I've noticed and things? And because I then make them aware of it, it completely changes the trajectory of the conversation, because they didn't even know there was a problem there. They just thought it was one thing and it was something completely different. And that's the power of the deep discovery, because so many times people just don't know. And I'm like, hold on, but when you said that, something happened. Can we just and we do a lot of breathing into it, and they're like, oh my god, and then we go into a lot deeper, and it gets very deep.
On like a one-to-one sort of face-to-face,
one-to-one. I do both in person and on Zoom. I can pick up on Zoom. People are like, oh, are you going to be able to do? Yeah, I'm very intuitive with things and notice lots of things. But I'm also launching a membership as well. So it will be like a mastermind type membership, and a membership with tiers for people to sort of dip their toe in as well. Because sometimes people are scared to find out the stuff about them. Spend an hour with me and let me sort of go in, and then that's it. It's completely just mad. But yeah, I do levels, but I want it to be more accessible to people who have just started business, not just because I do primarily work with business owners, but I do want to kind of open up to people who might just be like, oh, I've just started, however I want to get closer to this kind of work. So yeah, that's coming in end of October.
How exciting! So how can people get in touch with you if they want to find out more?
Drop me an email. So it's megan@intrinsicma.co.uk, or you can email info@intrinsicma.co.uk, or you can connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm also on YouTube. I'm also on Instagram and TikTok. So yeah, I'm here, there, and everywhere.
Fabulous.
And email me directly.
Yeah, and we will include all of your your links and everything, so that on this, so that everyone can get in touch with you if they want to work with you, or just find out a little bit more about what it is and what it involves. Thank you, Megan. It's so good to finally talk to you.
Yay! It's been lovely. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, it has been lovely. Thanks, Megan.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Enjoyed today's episode, and don't forget, we love to hear from you and get your feedback. So please do pop a comment, and please don't forget to subscribe and like the video and share it with your friends.